now proudly presented on SNME. That's Sunday night's main event, Patreon and free feed.
Yo, we just people from the north side. Want some Timmy's at the shore fine. Winter ready on the four ties. Heavy traffic during 4-5. Gotta hustle on your own time. Color people every port side. We just people from the north side. Want some Timmy's.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy George McKine back here live December. It is the final show of the year for myself. And who better to end my recording year, and I'll release this interview next year, but who better to end my recording 2023 year with my good friend, Kerry Morton. How are you, brother?
That's right. The most requested guy on the show is back again. I'm doing well. Thanks for the questions. And stoked to be a part of the show. And so the last interview, it's really cool. What a hell of a time it's been since the last time I spoke to you.
Yeah, it's been a crazy time. You've had some banger matches. Unfortunately, August did not go your way. You lost the Junior Heavyweight Championship. What was that like? I mean, first off, what was it like being on the card at NWA 75? Like, I don't think people realize how incredible that is alone.
You know what? That's a good point. It's a very prestigious show. 75 years celebrated of the National Wrestling Alliance. Really cool opportunity, to say the least. You know, Billy Corgan was really excited to be there. Violent J was in the house of Insane Clown Posse, which played a big role into the part of the show. And myself wrestling Colby Carino. One would say, maybe many say, many of the critiques, the dirt sheets may also state that Colby and Kerry stole the show, in which we do. Unfortunately, my favor was not in good direction, in good spot, so to speak. You know, I feel naked. I don't have a championship right now, but it's okay because here I am tonight, New Frontier, 2023.
And you're going for the Grand Championship.
And listen, I did not show up to Canada to lose. That's for sure. I mean, Kerry Morton does not do jobs wherever in Coburg, Ontario, or wherever the hell I'm at. I don't do jobs. So with that being said, I am the next champion of New Frontier, and I'm excited to give this company and the fans someone they can believe in.
Yeah, I would say you're a fair amount of a role model. You've got the swag for role model. Like, I mean, if there's a young fan in the audience tonight and they see you holding up that Grand Championship, would you be excited to be inspiring the next crop of possible talents?
No, because they couldn't follow me. So their expectation would be too high, and that's just something I bitter and I pity for them necessarily, is they couldn't follow Kerry Morton. So they'd want to be someone like me. They would want to be that figure in the wrestling ring, but unfortunately, they just wouldn't. And so I mean, it's just, and I hate to be the shadow of the doubt, I really do, but you know, kids in this area, especially Coburg, and you know, they have no hope. You know, they're probably just going to go work a 9 to 5 as usual, which is nothing wrong with a 9 to 5. I work a 9 to 5. I own my own business. I work a 9 to 5. I work for myself. But genuinely, they would see such a caliber of an athlete in that wrestling ring and not know what to do with it.
So what you're saying is that you would actually discourage children from taking up pro wrestling as a passion?
No, absolutely. You know, anyone that's crazy enough to step inside that square circle and beat themselves up for a living, genuinely, to beat themselves up and get the hell kicked out of them night in and night out, it's not a business that you want to be in. It's not a sport that you want to be in. It's just something that it's my blood. It runs through my blood. It runs through my veins necessarily. It's something I can't deny. Professional wrestling is Kerry Morton, and Kerry Morton is professional wrestling.
This is factual. This is factual. Now, when I look at NWA 75, like I said, 75 years celebrating NWA, the caliber of talent, and you're right. The dirt sheets would say, and I actually would agree. This is not kayfabe. This is factual. That was my favorite match of the night. You two stole it, and it's always good to see young bucks coming up, doing their thing, but coming out, you know, mid-level of the card, and making it a match to remember. To even when the main event is so-so, you're like, damn, that one match was fire. And that shows to the testament of the caliber of you and shows to the trust that I think Billy Corgan has in that junior heavyweight division.
Most definitely. You know, since then, I have moved out of the junior heavyweight division, the 225 or less. Kerry Morton is now officially a heavyweight in the National Wrestling Alliance, which is cool. You know, Billy grabbed me as I came to the back, and he said, tonight wasn't your night necessarily, but tomorrow may be. And with that being said, you're in the heavyweight division, and I see you being the future of the National Wrestling Alliance and the future of professional wrestling, in which he made a hell of a contribution with that. You know, he made a great investment putting Kerry Morton on paper until 2025. And with that being said, there's a lot of companies that's chasing after this glory, but they're going to have to wait because I like the National Wrestling Alliance. I like where I'm at. I like the company. We just signed a big television deal recently, something I can go on to talk about. But with that being said, it's humbling, to say the least, that, hey, you know, today was not my day, but tomorrow may be. to give and take where I'm at and what I continue to evolve myself in the wrestling ring, outside the wrestling ring, in interviews, and with the fans. You know, that's something it kind of goes underappreciated. I'll go on to talk about that too, is the professional wrestling fans. You know, I think they are some of the harshest fans in all of sports. Cut the music! Some of the harshest fans, genuinely. But with that being said, they're some of the best fans. And they have their opinions, and they'll talk behind those keyboards, but I've never had one wrestling fan legitimately come up to me in person at a wrestling show and say, Kerry Morton, you suck. Because they don't have the guts. Because they know when they see me in that wrestling ring and they see the epitome of professional wrestling right before their eyes, all they have to do is genuinely acknowledge that, and they have to carry on. And so that's what I'm getting at with this point in this conversation necessarily is big things ahead. And that's kind of the caliber where I'm at. I'm a little jet lagged right now. I've been all over the country. Let me tell you this story real quickly. This is Saturday right now. So Wednesday, I finished my finals in college. All right, Kerry Morton studied his ass off. Let's hope and pray that I passed the final.
I believe he did.
Well, thank you. I got on a flight. I went straight to Dallas, Texas. I wrestled Dallas, Texas. I went from Dallas, Texas. I went to Colorado. I wrestled Colorado. Came back to Dallas. Flew back to Dallas to fly here, which I'm in Cobourg, Ontario, Canada. I'm here tomorrow, I believe, in Hamilton, Canada. And then home on Monday for 3 days, back to Texas. Blessing beyond doubt that I get to do this for a living. I get to wrestle and travel all over the world. But then again, you know, this is just another day at the office. A lot of these guys couldn't fill a day in my shoes necessarily because they know that when you're on this air flight and you're crammed up, and you know, Kerry Morton does fly, you know, first class usually, which is a blessing. But sometimes I got to sit in the back, and it sucks. But what I'm getting at is I'm a little tired, but I'm humbled. Gratitude is shown, whether the fans know that or not. I'm appreciative.
Absolutely you are, and you should be. Like you said, it's not easy being in this business, even for myself. I mean, I'm just a commentator, and I do the interviews and stuff like that, but it is sometimes the grind. Like, I mean, working a full 9 to 5, then I had a 2.5 hour drive here to Cobourg. I got to call a show for 3 hours. I got a 2.5 hour drive back home, which, I mean, again, is on a flight from Dallas to Colorado, but in a lot of essence, it's a lot of miles in a short span of time. And sometimes the world flies by, literally. The world flies by, and you have to take in the small things.
You're absolutely right. I couldn't agree more. And with that being said, too, you know, I hustle outside of professional wrestling, as you have to. Being, you know, whether it be merchandise on the gimmick tables and the merchandise tables, or showing, you know, social media. Like I own my own business. I help. I'm fortunate that I'm in marketing. I do a lot of marketing. So, you know, I work that 9 to 5. And I work for myself, which is even more of a grind. And I work for other companies, and I do a lot of contribution, whatever it may be, to help, you know, fill in the missing pieces to the puzzle. But it's a grind, and then to come out here and perform and live my dream every weekend, it's cool. It's really cool, and it's something you know, flying here on someone else's dime, going to wrestle and getting paid my rates and doing what I do is it doesn't go necessarily. It's not dismissal, or it's not necessarily that it's beyond my doubt. Shove a doubt. It's something that I think you got to take into retrospective of. Wow, you know, this guy, he's doing the damn thing. You know, you're paying the dues. You're doing what you have to do to hopefully one day to make that next step to wherever you may be. And that's something it's just gratitude. Something that came over me right now, and I'm like, you know what, Kerry, you need to show some gratitude real quickly. So gratitude's being shown.
Gratitude suits you, actually. I know you're a humble cat. Behind camera, we've had some great conversations. You've always been fantastic. And the interviews, the conversations that we've been able to record have been, for me, it's life-changing. Like I said, your dad is one of my heroes, was one of my heroes when I was a kid. And, I mean, the dude had, hands down, still probably the best head of hair in the business.
Well, I appreciate that. He does. You know, he unfortunately does have a good head of hair. I do not necessarily. I mean, I got a good head going on right now. I got a good hair, but probably Bosley's in my foreseeable future. So I'll go ahead and start making payments here now. I can laugh at it, but I'm all right. It's something proud sponsorship. Bosley, hey, Kerry Morton's available. You know, the future of professional wrestling. Give him a little shout out. You know, I feel good now. I got a good support system back at home that helps me with the hair products necessarily and keep me up to date, but something I definitely got to consider here soon because he has really good genetics. Unfortunately, those were not passed to me. It was the nice, glorious head full of hair.
Absolutely. Now let's talk. We can talk about it now. So let's talk about the NWA TV deal. Yeah. That's huge exposure for the promotion, for the company. You guys have a solid roster. You're now in that heavyweight division, which is stacked, racked, and packed with some big names. Chris Masters, EC3. There's a lot of big names in that heavyweight division. Tyrus, former NWA champion. A lot of big names, a lot of big bodies in that division. But you're there till 2025. I'm sure you've had other conversations. But what was the reason why, if I could ask, why did you put pen to paper with NWA for another couple of years? Is it because you have unfinished business there? Or is it because you still feel that you need to grow and you think that's the best place for you to evolve to that next level?
That's a really good question. First and foremost, you answered it. I have unfinished business in the National Wrestling Alliance. That too, when my first free agency deal came up, I had a lot of offers and very appreciative. But something deep down told me, you know what, Kerry Morton, you need to stay with the National Wrestling Alliance. This is in your blood. And I'm not just doing this because of my father. I'm not, but his legacy was established in the NWA, especially in the Carolinas and the Louisiana territories with Bill Watts, which is another, not necessarily NWA, but another establishment, Midwest. And with all this kind of coming together, I felt like this was my niche for right now. It's where I need to be. All these companies, and I'll go on to speak AEW and WWE and Impact Wrestling, which I just was in the locker room earlier today talking to Tommy Dreamer and had a great conversation. Those are my friends, and I'm so happy for everyone's success. But I feel like right now, that is my strong suit, and I want to make NWA better than what it already is. Genuinely, and that's tough to do. And that's a lot of stones and a lot of bricks put in my back necessarily, and it's something I've done to myself. When the time came, and I had the conversation with Pat Kenny and Billy Corrigan and the office, the guys, I want to be. I'm not saying I want to be the face necessarily. Like, let me earn that, but let me do something here. Let me, come into my own. And here's something my father never did that I want to do. Is he's never won the 10 pounds of gold. Technically, he won it one night, but that's nothing that's necessarily in the books.
It's in our hearts.
It's in our hearts, and that's a story for another time necessarily. But that is something I have to finish that story. I have to finish that story of being the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And here's something too. Going back, I'm a wrestling buff. I watch wrestling every single day. There's not a day that passes that I don't think professional wrestling or watch wrestling or something in that context. But going on from the greats of Harley Race, Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair.
Sting.
Let's go on and talk about Sting real quickly and having his Hall of Fame career. And then, watching Nick Aldis. And shout out to Nick Aldis, genuinely. Take that belt and made it to what it is again. And then seeing Trevor Murdoch, make on his wave. And then Tyrus and then EC3. And what EC3 is doing right now for the company is very appreciative. And it doesn't go... And years down the line, he's going to get his applause and he's going to get his roses. But right now, people don't see that. But then it's the stepping stone. All right, we're going to create stars in this company, and then we're going to create Kerry Morton to be more than what he needs to be. And that's something I want to do. I want to bet on myself. I want to be the man who needs to be, in the position. Like, all right, let's go out there and let's do something for one another. Let's build this company to what it needs to be. And so I see myself as the face of the company in years to come. And I hope that's the case. As I say that, and I speak this into existence, so live on the air, and I'll be out there. I hope that's the case. That, hey, damn, that's what I want to do. I want to be in that position where I can rock with the NWA, and I'm proud to work there. I'm proud to be an employee. And I think there's really cool things on the horizon. If you look right now, the NBA has a young roster, a really young...
I was actually just going to point that out, a ridiculously young roster. Like you've got, I want to say arguably, maybe if I'm wrong, I want to say 35 to 40% of that roster is in their mid to late 20s.
Yes, most definitely. And that's something Billy's kind of big about. Is he gave the 10-year plan recently. And he was like, listen, we know everything's coming together. We just had a sold-out pay-per-view in Cleveland, Ohio. Just had a sold-out show in Sarasota, Florida. Just had sold-out TV tapings. January 13th, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, looking like a sellout as of right now. I think there's 100 tickets available. There was 600 offered. That's great. I mean, we're growing. We're not now. Are we comparably speaking to WWE numbers? No, but we're not comparing NWA to anything else. We're our own brand. We're on our own path. And that's something I'm proud of. I really am. I'm genuinely appreciative. I love what we're doing necessarily. And I can go on to say more good things, but the internet doesn't like that when Kerry Morton says good things about the NWA. So, but with that being said, it's cool. We have a young roster. Kenzie Page, shout out to Kenzie Page, the youngest NWA women's champion, and she's doing a hell of a job right now, taking that belt elsewhere. We just got in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, defended against a huge stack opponent. So I can go on to talk about it, but anyhow. Good roster. So if you're not watching the NWA, please go to your way and check us out. If it's not your cup of tea, we understand. But at the end of the day, it's a growing product, and what makes it get bigger and bigger is people like that watches these vlogs and watch these interviews, going out there and going on their way and supporting it.
Absolutely. And you know what the great thing about the NWA is that as of next year, it's going to be a lot more accessible to some people who wouldn't know where to get it. Some people may not, surprisingly in this day and age, some people may not have the internet.
Yes.
So YouTube may not be available to the NWA subscriber. Fight Plus may not be available to the NWA subscriber. So now it's going to be on cable television, satellite television, which is huge. More eyes on the company, more eyes on Kerry Morton, more eyes on that 10 pound of gold, but more bullseyes on the holder of the 10 pounds of gold.
That's right. And, I don't see EC3 wasn't about anytime soon. I got to give them that. I think he has proved time and time again why he is the NWA world champion. With Tyrus and having this new confidence come over this man, being the Oberman, being the epitome of what he else might call himself. He's done a hell of a job. I just watched him wrestle Jack Stain in Sarasota, Florida. 1,000+ people in this jam-packed room, delivered. And I got to give him that. But see, people don't understand that I'm 3 steps ahead of the game. What he's just...
I get it.
Right, you get it. What he's just now learning about himself.
You knew years ago.
I already knew.
Yeah.
And that's something when he steps in the ring with me, and we had our fair share. If you watched the recent NBA product, we've been talking a little. But I've watched what he's done, and I watched what he's capable of doing. But just know, I'm ahead of you, bro. There's that. That's all I have to say. I'm ahead of him.
And I love that confidence that you carry yourself with. You're humble, but you have confidence. And like you said, the internet doesn't really care when we say good things. I talk about the NWA consistently, and I get people who are always like, well, why is this an NWA-driven part of the show? Well, because I'm recognizing the NWA. I'm also an MLW fan. I'm recognizing MLW. There's some great wrestling going on right now, and it's so cool when you think about it. 7 years ago, there was WWE. And then all of a sudden, even through COVID, Impact was always there. Now they're coming back to the roots as TNA. That's going to be huge. Awesome. Game changer 2024. Also in 2024, there are whispers that MJF may have quietly re-signed with AEW. Okay. But there's also a possibility that you never know. Look, CM Punk came back to WWE. What a wild time in pro wrestling. And now you've got, if you look at North America alone, you've got 5 top-tier promotions. I would say in no particular order, WWE, AEW, NWA, TNA, and MLW. I would put those as the top 5 televised, eyes-on-the-product promotions that there are in North America right now.
Genuinely, yeah. I'm right there with you. And one thing about me is you'll never see me ever shitting on a brand that pays the boys. That's something my dad stood up for, and the gals, what I should say, in the non-binary and whatever talent maybe in the locker room. You'll never see me doing that because I am genuinely happy for people that get to go here, live our dream in professional wrestling, do what we do best, and that's perform inside that squared circle and get paid and make a fair wage and make a good living and provide for our families. That's something that is immenseful to me and speaks so much volume. So genuinely, everything that's going on right now is booming, and I hope to not see this boom on the decline anytime soon. I hope we continue rising, and I feel like that's something that we all get away from time to time is us guys in the locker room feel too much self-interest and homo economics necessarily, where it's too self-interest and too inflicted on oneself, and we're not excited for one another, we're not happy for one another because that guy might be in a position that I want. But at the end of the day, you got to take a step back and say, you know what, that person right there is making a living, they're providing for their children, they're putting a roof over their head, they have food in the fridge. That's something that I will never shit on or not be appreciative of. Is thank you to these promoters and these guys that are giving us opportunities to go out there and do what we do. So it's cool. It's really cool to see Ring of Honor on the horizon once more. TNA starting back here in 2024. MLW, NWA and MLW had some working relationships and still do. I think it's still there. AAA is now coming back more into the States with Mexico Wrestling and Lucha Libre, and we have a great relationship with Vampiro and all those guys and Conan. So really cool opportunities on the horizon, and I just hope that these come to fruition, to say the least, because I think there's some really cool talks in the locker rooms that I kind of get excited about, but I should mention on the air. But hopefully, big things on the horizon with the names that I just mentioned.
Absolutely, and if you don't understand that there a lot of information was mentioned in that, rewind it and watch that segment exactly again. Now, I want to ask a couple more questions. I'm going to let you go prepare for your match. But when I look at the future of pro wrestling as a whole, and maybe I'm off kilter for this, and if I am, call me out on it. I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your candor. I look at big names in the next 5 years. And I would arguably say I would put you in the top 15 of the next 5 to 7 years. You, and there's 14 other names, but I'm not going to mention them because we're focusing on you right now. I would put you with 14 other names right now. To name drop a few, I would say MJF for sure. I would say Darby Allin. I would say if we're talking WWE, I would say, he just got injured right now, so he's taking a step back. But Wes Lee, I would say, in impact-wise, I'm looking at Trey Miguel. I'm looking at Speedball Mike Bailey. I'm looking at those some of the names, but from each promotion, I'm looking at these guys as being like, this is the future, and the future looks ridiculously stacked to the point where if all these companies put their differences aside and stop recognizing competition, and I get it, competition is healthy. You want competition.
Right.
But what if just for the sake of it, because your father having ties to WWE as well, what if just randomly, out of nowhere, January's right around the corner? I would love to see Kerry Morton in the Royal Rumble. I mean, I know it's not possible, but hey, man, I can dream, can't I?
No, listen, one can dream, and never know. I have a pretty cool contract, to say the least. A lot of freedom was in my contract when I re-upped it, and that's something that goes on to speak volumes about Billy Corgan and Pat Kenny and the trust and the wrestlers necessarily. So you never know where I may just show up. And with that being said, what a list that you just named. Gratitude, and I hope the way professional wrestling is evolving. Storytelling is not dead, and for those special promoters out there listening to this, that may listen to this or may come across this, and you're still this far in the conversation, storytelling in professional wrestling is a lost art. And I am one.
Amen.
I'm there. I'm one, not trying to, I'm humble brag again, but I feel like I'm one to be in the spot where I can bring professional wrestling and storytelling back to a compelling interest to the modern general fan. Not a hardcore fan of professional wrestling, in which I'm not disclaiming them, but professional wrestling it's kind of hitting that niche market again. Okay, like we're catering to these hardcore wrestling fans, and we're forgetting about our general audience. We're forgetting about that father and the crowd with his wife and their little 3-year-old boy that's screaming in excitement, waiting for that baby face to make a comeback, waiting for someone just to stamp on their feet and come back to it and whoop someone like me in my asshole ways ass. But I feel and I hope and whoever maybe listening to this understands this, just epiphany of what I'm putting on the air is it's coming back slowly and surely, and we're slowly evolving back to that, and it's compelling and it's really fun interest. But then again, we don't need to get away from that. And it's great to have the New Japan Professional Wrestling Strong Style, and it's great to have Lucha Libre High Flying, and I would never not like that. I try to diverse myself in that wrestling ring all the time, to doing whatever I may do to diverse myself in Lucha Libre and Strong Style and Southern Wrestling, which I take a lot of pride in my way. And that's a way that I think it's come back up in the air. I can go on to talk more about this, but where I'm getting at is it's something that I hope we can revolve around more. And I see MJF doing it, and I applaud you, MJF, for what you're doing and what you're trying to do to the air. And you'll get your flowers as you're getting right now, and it's slowly coming more. And that's something I think NWA is taking a lot more steps forward, is compelling stories and bringing interest in that bad guy versus the good guy, or that that opponent that's an underdog wrestling Maxie and Paler. For God's sakes, there's so many different ways to go about this, and it comes with learning from the past, learning from the greats, and making it modern in today's time. It's not dead, it's just not done right.
I love that. That's a great quotable. I think that's actually going to be a clip for this episode. And my final question, even though 2025 is 2 years away, 2 years can go by like that. 2025, Kerry Morton, free agent. I'm not asking for where Kerry Morton's loyalties lie. We know where your loyalties lie. You're NWA right now because you have that unfinished business. If you achieve that unfinished business, which is the 10 pounds of gold, and you feel like you're ready to move on, what 3 letters does Kerry Morton feel like he's going to move on to? I mean, I know you can't answer that. I don't want to put you in a hot seat, but I got to ask.
No, it's cool. It's something that's not really came to my mind, and if this mouth doesn't get me fired before then, so I like to run my mouth. I like to speak up for the people in the locker room. So hopefully this mouth doesn't get me fired before 2025, because I like being where I'm at. But there's something that comes to mind, and I'll say this on the camera, and I'll say this once more: is who wouldn't want to one day main event All In, or main event WrestleMania, or main event Wrestle Kingdom. And to say that, am I the one to do that? I believe I am. I believe others have to see that I am. And, that's something Cody Rhodes said something in an interview, and he said this multiple years in a row. But it really stuck with me, being 22 years old right now, and it really, really hit something with me. It hit a stone inside, necessarily, It's being, undesirable to undeniable. And with that being said, was work that others didn't see, whether it be in the gym, in the kitchen, looking in front of that mirror when you wake up, fighting body dysmorphia, fighting those deep thoughts. But once someone can overcome that, and once someone can overcome the interest of your own self, and I can go on, and I've been really kind of reading about this often too, and it sounds probably dumb, and it may come off weird, and I'm not trying to be fucking EC3 conspiracist necessarily. I'm not.
The moon landing was fixed.
The moon landing was fixed.
It's fake.
I love EC3, until the time comes. But where I'm getting at,
the Earth is flat, Kerry.
Earth is flat. Yeah, Flip Gordon, the Earth is not flat. That's for damn sure. Stupid ass. Anyhow, where I'm getting at is that's what I'm working on right now. I understand that I am a national champion in cheerleading. I'm a national champion in theatrics, a state champion in theatrics and national level. I've made a lot of cool accolades in my early career so far, being 22, and I hope to continue living, every day I wake up as a blessing. So, overcoming those thoughts and being in the position where I am, staying healthy relatively, you never know. I never know. The goal right now, I want to main event, a few NWA pay-per-views. I want to obviously hold the big belt, and I want to give people their money's worth. If there's anything you could say about Kerry Morton in professional wrestling, I'll end it with this. You can never say that Kerry Morton stepped inside that wrestling ring and did not give the fans their money's worth.
I think that's the best way to end the intellectual part of our conversation. Now, bonus question. It's a stupid question, but it is the holidays. This is going to air well after Christmas. Yeah. But what is your all-time favorite Christmas song or movie? Or if you have one of each, great.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Jack Frost nipping at your nose. Can't go wrong there. I love it. Classic. So classic. I'm a classic man. I'm an old soul. So
what about movie-wise? Are you an It's a Wonderful Life guy?
Man, cannot go wrong with National Lampoon Christmas Vacation. Every time I watch it, which I've probably watched it well over 50 plus times, I always find something new and I always chuckle. So Chevy Chase, National Lampoon, all-time best Christmas movie in my opinion. It goes to number one.
Best line in that entire movie. Hey, Griswold, where are you going to put a tree that big? Bend over and I'll show you. You got a lot of nerve talking to me like that, Griswold. I wasn't talking to you. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Good stuff.
That is how you end a conversation with the epitome, Kerry Morton. I am George Mackay. He's Kerry Morton. This is Straight Talk Wrestling. He's already shouted out the podcast before. We don't got to do it again. But as we see you in 2024, hope you had a great Christmas, a great New Year, and hopefully, if you're a fan of Coburg Wrestling, if you're a fan of New Frontier, you might see the epitome in 2024 as the grand champion.
That's right. Listen, I will say this real quickly. I know we have to get off the air, and we already wrapped it up, but I genuinely love New Frontier. I love what they're doing. Promoters work their ass off to make this to what it is, and it's a really, really cool audience. A lot of stacked rosters, a lot of future up-and-comers, so good part. Really, anyone that's remotely interested in professional wrestling in this particular area, buy a ticket, support professional wrestling and independent wrestling for what it is.
That's an even better way to wrap it up. Peace, love, and wrestling, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and turn on that notification bell so you get notified each time we post a video. Alternatively, you can check us out on all podcast platforms and hosted on Podbean. We are also available on the SNME Network. That's the Sunday Nights Main Event Patreon. Please feel free to check us out there as well. And don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms at _Straight Talk on Twitter, at Straight Talk Wrestling on Instagram, Straight Talk Wrestling on Facebook, Straight Talk Wrestling on TikTok, and of course, you can check out all our merch at ProWrestlingTees.com.
I don't need a nigga cosign. Without the liquor, you become a victim. You ain't never got a pole mine. I ain't messing with this generation. Fuck your gen, I ain't got